That's it. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Pathway to Great Credit. I am so happy to be here on this beautiful, overcasted Saturday afternoon. Yeah, so let's get started. You're here and you want to know how to get better credit. Start living the life you want. And I think was a great choice. So welcome. Who am I? Who am I anyway? Why am I talking on this mic? Well, I'm a dog lover. I love animals. I'll tell you that's Rocky and MJ, left and right. Rocky, MJ, those are my babies. I have one more too, and you'll see her in a minute. I'm also a wife. I love being a wife, and and hopefully maybe a mother soon. Who knows? And I am a daughter. Love my mama, and hopefully she thinks I'm terrific, because I do. And that's my little baby girl. Yeah, that's Ruby, and she runs my whole life. I'll tell you that right now. When I met her, she didn't even barely barked. She was, anyway, she was got rescued from a puppy mill, and I met her after that. Neva had her before I met her, and so anyway, she's now my fave. I wouldn't tell the other dogs that, but she is my fave. And then this is my sister and my nephew, so I'm totally a sister, and I am an awesome auntie. I think, anyway. Actually, I need to see him a little bit more than I do. But, he's in that teenage zone now, so he's going to school. He's a teenager. He's all 5'11", and he's just long, lanky, and cool, and he's wearing cool hats. And anyway, I don't think I'm that cool. And I'm also a friend. I love my friends, and I love them so much that on Thanksgiving morning, when I could have been sleeping in before I fried my turkey, I got up and I did a 5K to end hunger in Sacramento, California, with some friends of mine. I hope they don't mind being on my slides there. Didn't ask them for permission. Also, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm the founder of 760credit.biz. I'm a consumer advocate, obviously, because I'm giving out all of this free, amazing information, but the information should be free, right? I'm also a real estate investor, and I also am a journeyman power line worker for the utility company, although I just used my skill set now, and I just look at stuff. I'm not climbing any poles anymore. I'm not getting calls out in the middle of the night, which is really, really wonderful. So, yeah, that's a little bit about me. My big why, this story, whenever I tell it, it always takes a lot of energy from me, because this is truly my big why. My big why has always been my family. It's always been this house, actually, is a huge, big part of it. And this house is where I grew up. My first years of my life was spent here with my grandparents, my aunts and my uncles, and I was the first grandchild, so I was super spoiled, and I'm only a few years younger than a lot of the younger siblings of my mother. So there's 9 of them, and my mother's the oldest, and so I was like 5 or 6 years younger than some of my aunts. And so anyway, I used to terrorize them. But this house means the world. This has a lot of memory for me, and so my grandfather actually built it. And both my grandmother and my grandfather worked for a very rich man who had a mansion down the wayway. And he promised my grandparents that, hey, you know what, if you work with us your life, and, when you retire, I'll give you this land, and then you will have this house, and it'll be yours. And so my grandfather took care of all of his land, his yard, and did all the maintenance work for the house. And my grandmother was the nanny, took care of, basically raised their children, and cooked, cleaned, did all the housekeeping and all that good stuff. And in my early 20s, the man sold the house off and under my grandparents and moved them into a house down the highway from here. And anyway, long story short, they sold that house, and No one, it's actually vacant. No one's been able to live up there. So I don't know how long that family actually stayed there, but this is kind of the way it looks now, kind of run down. Did not look like that when I was growing up. But anyway, I want to go back. And that man's not alive anymore, the one that sold his house off and under my grandparents. My grandfather's not alive either anymore, but it would give me great, great joy, warm my heart to be able to go back and not only get this back for my family, but also buy his mansion too. Why not? Let's just throw that in there. So that's my big, huge why. And then there's me. This is what Neva, my wife, she put this on Facebook. So we do kind of look alike. I'll say it. Why credit repair? So here's the story. Okay, why credit repair? Because it's like, okay, how'd you go from like climbing poles to wanting to fix people's credit? 2008, 2009. You guys know about that crash, especially in California. Lots of people lost their homes when these bad loans adjusted. Mine adjusted way more than I wanted to spend on this house, and way more than I could really afford. And so I wound up losing the house, and my mother was staying with me. She was going through her stuff, I was going through a separation. Anyway, I was depressed. I let everything go. I maxed out all my cards, and was like, okay, throw them in the trash. Everything's all messed up anyway, so might as well just screw it up even more. A couple years later, I was like, I can't live like this. I have money, but I have no way to do anything else, right? I have no credit. And it was time for me to, get my life together. So I called a credit repair. I found one. I did research. I was like, this one looks good. I'm gonna go with them. They got good reviews. Went with them, and paying my bills on time. Everything was good. And I thought, my credit should be on point now, right? So about a year later, I checked my credit on myself, and lo and behold, things looked pretty much mirrored what they did when I started. And so at that point, I was like, okay, no. So I called them. You got to go. I'm firing you. No. So then I started getting obsessed with credit. And I'm online. I'm buying books. I'm flying to Tampa to boot camps and meeting other credit repair specialists. And I immersed myself in it. And then I found out just how important it is to have it. And then I realized I need to help everybody. I want to help my mom. I want to help everybody. So I sent out an email. Hey, everybody. I did this amazing job with my own credit. I'll do the same for you. You don't have to pay me any money. Just send me over your stuff. And some of them took advantage of the offer, and I was able to improve their credits significantly. And so I really dang, but then I couldn't start. They just wanted to send me people, and I was like, I can't keep doing this for free. It's my time, and as much as I'd like to do it for free, I just really can't, So then I decided, maybe I'll do this for business, a little side something. So that's what I did. And so this was I started in actually October of 2014, doing my own credit. And so I couldn't find my scores from at that point, but I can tell you what they were. They were in the 500s. And so this was 2 months later. I had raised I had raised all of the scores actually, because they were mid to low 500s before, and then that's in December, and those were my scores then. And these are my scores now. Not too shabby. That's right here. That's this month. I have my FICOscore.com, and it's fantastic, and I look at my scores anytime. So those are my scores now, and I pulled that so that I can show you what's possible, right? Okay, 2 ways to great credit is one is educate yourself. Get all the knowledge you can about credit, because you think it's so simple. It's not. There's so much stuff, and there's so many things that you really need to know as a consumer, that can really, things that are tearing us up as a society. A lot of people who are ignorant to this information, don't have it, are getting really taken advantage of. And educate and get yourself some knowledge, okay? And so this is a good way to start. That is, you've seeked out getting that by taking this, by watching this video. The second way is the way that you think about credit has to change. Y'all, it's got to change, okay? We've got to think about it differently, Do the best you can until you know better, and then when you know better, then you can do better. That's the truth. That's the truth. So the information you get today, please take that in, absorb it, watch the video again and again and again. Research what I say. Like, don't just believe me. Don't just believe anyone. Do your work. Do your research. Okay? That's Maya Angelou. Love that lady. All right. What is credit? A, the ability to buy something without having to ever pay it back. I don't know, for some of us, we thought that was credit. B, the thing you want people to give you when you want to convince them of something, right? C is a skin condition. Or D, none of the above. Credit is the ability of a customer to obtain goods or services before payment based on the trust that payment will be made in the future. So I will gladly pay you 3 weeks from now for something you give me today, is really what credit is. My definition of credit is credit equals leverage. It's amazing, right? Think about it. You can go with your $60,000 job and your decent credit and ask a bank to give you $250,000 home loan so you can live in a home. $250,000. That is leverage. You have your $60,000 a year and you want a $250,000 lump sum money going to something that you are purchasing. That is leverage. I don't care what anybody says. It's the ability to get more using only your current resources. I want you to take that information. I want you to suck that on in. I want you to think about it, feel it, get it in your bones, because that is what it is. It's not something that you use to buy a pair of shoes. You can. That is not the real good way to use it, right? The real good way to use it is to buy yourself some assets, to use their money to invest it, to multiply what you have using someone else's okay? Awesome. All about your scores. Let's talk about scores, y'all. What is a credit score? A, the score on your math test. B, just a number hanging over my head causing some problems. Okay. C, a ceramics technique, possibly. D, none of the above. A credit score. A number that summarizes your credit risk based on a snapshot of your credit report at a particular point in time. It could be a Snapchat, but anyway. So a number that summarizes your credit risk based on a snapshot of your credit report at a particular time. Super important for you to know. I'll tell you why. Most people think when they say, "Oh, what's your credit?" "Oh, my credit is about a 730, 740. No, you don't actually know what your credit is until the moment you pull it. Your credit score is actually. Right? The moment you pull it, because it's at the moment that you pull it, whatever data is in there that's collected from, say you're getting your Equifax credit score, it collects the information out of Equifax and then it spits out a score. Okay? You could do that 2 days later and that score could look different because maybe you missed a payment, maybe other circumstances, maybe another account popped up or a collection popped up on your credit report. So you actually don't ever know until you actually ask for it, okay? So a number that summarizes your credit risk based on a snapshot of your credit report at a particular point in time. So I hope that I explained that okay. If I didn't, send me a question over email. I'll give that to you in the slides. Why your free credit score isn't that accurate? Honey, there's FICO, there's Advantage scores, and there's FACO scores. I'll tell you the difference. FICO is the main one. That's the head honcho. Everybody wants to try and mimic that FICO score, right? This is the one that everyone uses. The lenders, the mortgage companies, this is the score. Okay, the FICO is what's the most important score that you can have. Okay, that you can be aware of. Advantage scores. A lot of times when your credit card companies give you free scores, they're either giving you an old FICO model, which would be cheaper for them to provide you, or they give you Advantage score, or they just give you altogether a FACO score, which you can find with your major monitoring services. Okay, so for Credit Karma, probably is going to be an Advantage score. Okay, so they're trying to mimic your FICO. So everybody thinks they know their score because they're on Credit Karma, but then when they go to apply for a mortgage, they pull it and they're like, "Whoa, wait a minute! Credit Karma says I'm at a 732. And yeah, and then the mortgage company says, no, honey, you're at a 620 or a 680. Maybe not that big of a drastic difference, but you're at 680. You're not at 720. Okay, or you're 660. So there's a difference. Moving on. How is your score? How is your scores calculated? So I'm gonna go through this kind of quickly. 35% of it is from payment history. What does that mean? Did you pay your bills on time? Are you late? It's your payment history. Late or on time? There you go. Your two options. You want to pay your bills on time. Why? Because a late payment affects your scores 30. It's 35% of that equation. Okay? Your FICO score is a equation. It's an algorithm that goes in, pulls data, punches it into the equation or the algorithm, and it spits out a risk factor that says you're going to pay your bills or you're not. You know, the likelihood of it. Okay, so 35% is a big chunk of that algorithm. So if it pulls it in and you've got 5 late payments, what do you think your score going to look like? It's going to suck. I hate to tell you. So put all your payments on automatic. You know, so they take the automatic deduction. You ain't got to think about it. That's what I do. I'm gonna practice what I preach. That's what I do. I've been doing that, and I don't have not one late payment on my credit report. And it's wonderful. Right? You don't get scores in the upwards of almost an 800 because you're paying things late. There's no way possible. Okay. 30% of it's from credit utilization. What is credit utilization? You have a $1,000 credit card, and you're using $600 of it. You're at 60% utilization. You want to keep it down at least under 30%. At least, okay? But if you want to be a stallion, if you want to be a champion, an amazing person, like you're going from gold, you don't want all the other colors, you keep that mess, keep it in the 7 to 15% range, and you'll optimize your credit scores. 7 to 15% range, optimize your credit scores. Amazing. Okay? Woo! 15% credit history. How long have you had credit? How long have you had it? I mean, that matters, right? If you go to have a service done, a mechanic, right? He says, "Oh, I've just been in business one day." You might think twice, right? But if he says, "Hey, I've been in business for 2 years," you say, "Okay, I'll take a chance on that," right? Same thing with your credit history. Lender looks at your credit history, so shit, all I see is 1 year worth of credit. Well, that's going to be a bigger risk, right? And so that's 15% of that algorithm, right? How long have you been establishing credit for? 10% is your new credit. That's the new things that you're applying for that comes onto your credit report. And 10% are the types of credit, so installment, revolving, etc. So how much can you save with improved credit? Take a look. So I sat with a used car sales guy before to talk to him, see if he can send me some clients, and he said you would be amazed at how significant of a difference that a person with a 700 or in the 700s versus a person in the low 600s or 600s, the difference in the amount of interest is that they wind up paying, and the amount of money that they wind up ending up paying for this car that's not even worth it. As long as you have bad credit or credit that's not amazing, right, you're going to be paying at the wazoo. This is money. This is your money. You might think, oh, well, it's not going to hurt too bad because I'm paying it over time. No, it's going to hurt a lot because you know what? That's an extra couple $1,000s you're going to pay for a car that you could do something else with. Okay? That could be sitting somewhere growing that you could have invested in, get you some life insurance to cover your family. Okay? That is what they are taking from you. That's what they're taking from you when you allow yourself to have lower credit, when you allow yourself to have lower credit scores and have to pay all this doggone money out. It's crazy, right? And I know there's a lot of people, I live on cash. Good luck with that. Good luck with that. Have fun. You're going to live it. That's a limited life. Okay, what is your credit report really? What is it really? What's a credit report? Oh, gosh. Credit report is your resume, your financial resume. It tells a lender or anyone looking at it, an employer, because they can look at your credit, all about how you handle your business, all about what's going on in your life. Honestly, it can't, right? Example, you have medical bills? Oh, well, is that person sick or something? Like, do I want to hire them so that I can pay some workman's comp money in 3 months? No. They can look and see if you've been a student loans, if you're paying them on time. They can see how you're handling your bills. If you got Verizon or AT&T on your credit report, I see them all the time. So it's kind of a joke, but not really though. Okay. But they can see all kinds of amazing things about you. If you've moved a whole lot, you have like 20 addresses coming up on your credit report. So it's really important that you keep that credit report accurate, right? You know, we have the luxury of being able to create a resume for our employers, right? We can make ourselves look amazing. But on a credit report, we don't have no choice, right? Somebody else is reporting all this information about us. So we want to be in the mix with that, right? That is our reputation. It is your reputation, okay? And so now that employers can take a peek, they can't look at your scores, but they can pretty much figure out what kind of scores you have by looking at what's on your report. And so I laugh, kind of like, you know, I'm not laughing because it's funny, but I'm actually saying, like, come on, you guys, let's get it together. Let's start this process. Don't wait till you need it to start doing it, okay? How to increase your credit scores. Remove negative items through the dispute process. Add or maintain positive trade lines. Continue or start to pay your bills on time or slightly before the due date. Have the right mix of credit, so you can have some revolving lines, some installment lines in there. Pay down or keep your balances on existing credit under 15% if you're amazingly, you're a stallion for the best results, but under 30% is safe. Collections, just don't pay them, okay? Does paying off an old negative account or collections remove it from your credit report? The answer is no. You can pay it. I get people in here, I'll just pay that. Yeah, well, no, you don't want to just pay it. You want to negotiate the situation, right? Because if you just pay it, the negative account is still there. It's still hurting you. It's not going to really give you any, it's not going to benefit you to have it on there, you know? So you just paid for an account that's going to be, doesn't just remove, it doesn't go poof. No, okay, it still stays there. So what do we do? Things to consider before paying the debt collectors. Charge off or collection agency account. There's a statute of limitation, right? There's a statute of limitation in every state that has where, well, basically a company that you owe has 4 years to collect the debt from the date of last activity. They call it the DOLA date. They have 4 years to collect it, where they can actually take you to court and actually sue you for it, put a judgment on you, that kind of thing. After that 4 years, they can just harass you. They can't really harass you either, but they can ask you. They can terrorize your credit report and all that good stuff. So knowing where you're at with that statute of limitation is wonderful, right? Because that's some leverage that you can use. I love that word, leverage. Anyway, right to collect the debt. Validate the debt. So we want to know that the collection agency or whoever it is has the right to be trying to collect the debt, trying to get money from you, right? I mean, you could be Sam, Jack, or Joe from downtown. I don't know who you are. You're calling me trying to get money from me. Like, you need to prove that. I can't just send you my money. You need to validate that, okay? So that's something that we do at 760 Credit. So we validate that. Make sure that you know, before we even say, hey, you know what? We've done the dispute process. Before you pay, let's just see what's going on. So, right to collect the debt, validate the debt, purchase the debt. You know, the collection agencies can actually purchase data from the bureaus. In fact, the bad data on the credit reports at the bureaus is the most valuable, right? Because, like I said earlier, they can charge you up to wazoo with the bad credit. So they don't want to release bad stuff really easily, because they sell that stuff to to collection agencies. Ooh. All they got to do is send you what they call a dunning letter, which says, hey, we're going to collect this debt for such and such and such and such. If you don't get in touch with us within 30 days, we're going to be on your credit report. Okay, you throw the thing away. You're like, oh, I can't deal with this right now. Bloop, in the garbage. 30 days later, the collection agency shows up on your credit report doing further damage. And now that's a whole other thing to get that stuff off, right? So that's what validation does, is make sure that the debt is really, that they really have the right to be collecting for it. And also, collection agencies can also purchase or be assigned the debt by an original creditor. Reasons why you don't want to just pay them is you can negotiate the payment in terms. So you can say, hey, this is over 4 years. You can't sue me for it. So for this $1,000 debt, I got $400 in the bank right now. I will give it to you. But you got to send me a letter saying if I give you this $400, that you're going to remove it from my credit report. Because that's the only way it's going to really help you, right? To get it off. So another reason is, another way is you have to do that. You have to do that negotiation in writing, and you must get a letter. And you must get a letter stating that they will remove the account from the credit report or whatever other terms you worked out with them. What is the FDCPA? I think it's the fanciest word ever. When I got that down, when I knew what that actually meant, I used it. I feel so fancy using that. So, is it A, something you can catch from sharing a soda? Yuck. B, set of laws that govern how debt collectors can collect the debt. C, something to say when you want to sound smart. Or D, forever doomed credit profile association. All right. So FDCPA, Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. Whew, remember that one. Fair Debt Collections Practices Act is a federal law that limits the behavior and actions of third-party debt collectors who are attempting to collect debts on behalf of another person or entity. Whew. So basically, these set of laws and rules, these protect you as a consumer. They can't just be calling you at all times of the night. They can't just be calling your employers or your friends and all that kind of stuff. They can't just do that, okay? There are laws governing. They can't threaten you. They can't threaten to sue you. They've got to be really going to do it. They can't just threaten that to you. So there's laws and you should know them. You should know them. So you have power. You should be afraid to answer your phone. You really shouldn't. And we can show you exactly what you need to do. In fact, if you give me an email after the video, I will send you over things to look for if you're getting harassed and stuff like that. Just your law, your rights. Know them well. In fact, if they're calling you, start writing down the number. Take the calls. Tell them, hey, I don't know anything about this debt. Why don't you send me the information? Here's my email. I'm not trying to avoid anything. Here's my not my email. Here's my address. Send it to me. Send me the correspondence. Well, don't you owe Chase back? I actually don't know anything until you send me the information in the mail, please. Here's my address. Well, verify your social. I'm not verifying anything with you because I don't know who you are. Okay? This is the conversation. You take control, right? You're the bull in the situation, okay? You're the bull. So answer your phone, log this information, screenshot it, keep a journal of all of this stuff because you can sue. You can sue and get you some money, and people do it every day. It's big business. We can also help you with any of that. You'll have our number too, so please give us a call with any questions. What debt collectors can't do when trying to collect a debt. So that's the paperwork. So I use this in live workshops. So we can send that to you. Okay, it's an actual handout, and love to send it to you. Disputing errors on your credit report. Let's look at this dispute process. Because I think a lot of people don't understand the dispute process. This is not, when people, I can't make guarantees, right, about credit repair. No one can. You can't even. In disputing yourself, right? Because we're now on the other side of the table making that decision. But I'll tell you what this crazy, antiquated system looks like, though. You send your dispute. They this machine opens the letter, pulls your letter out, scans it in, right? It goes through this eOscar system where it's trying to match up with other stuff, trying to find out if it's a template letter from a credit repair company because they don't like them. They don't have to deal with them. They don't have to deal with a credit repair company. That's the truth. All this stuff, right? And see if it's matching some other stuff. And then if it's all a go, then they send it to some foreign country where they have about, I think, somewhere around 4 minutes to sum up all of your disputes and basically assign them a 2-digit number, okay? And then that 2-digit number goes to, it sends out a thing to the original, the data furnishers, which are, your collections, your creditors, whoever's in question, right, for that account. And then they're supposed to verify it or delete it, or they're supposed to respond within a particular amount of time, which is 30 days, to the credit bureaus. Okay, credit bureau has about 30 to 45 days to respond to your to do the investigation and respond back to you. How can you dispute an account that is really yours? By a little thing called the FCRA. Another fancy word. Fair Credit Reporting Act is U.S. federal government legislation enacted to promote the accuracy, fairness, and privacy of information in the files of Consumer Reporting Agency. There are 4 ways to get a negative item removed legally. Okay? So FCRA is actually in place. Let me just talk about that a little bit. The FCRA is in place to protect the way that the credit bureaus are actually reporting these accounts. Okay? And so this is a very, very important piece because we were talking about, hey, when we write a resume about ourselves, we can say we want to, so we can paint the picture that we want to paint. But if someone else is doing that, what does that mean? So someone has to hold them accountable for what the picture that they're painting about you, right? So the FCRA is the set of laws or rules that really help you as a consumer to keep your reports protected, right? So there's 4 ways that you use that FCRA. And these are the 4 ways that by right is your consumer right that your stuff is accurate, that it's verifiable, that it's complete, and it's not outdated. So the ways that you can remove the negative items is to find truly legal, correct things things that are wrong with the account. So the question is not about whether or not the account is yours. But the question is more about, hey, is this reporting right? Yeah, the account's mine, sure. But I still have laws and rights and stuff that says this needs to look a certain way on my credit report, though. Okay? So if the information is inaccurate, you can dispute it. If the information is not verifiable, you can ask them to verify it. If the information is incomplete, it needs to be complete or take it off my credit report. If the information is outdated, gotta go. Right? So all that information is very, very powerful information, right? So when you go through your credit report, you need to look at those things. How to dispute? Here's the basics, okay? Always dispute through the mail, fax, or phone. Never online. You lose some of your rights when you do so. And it's a form. And what is a form? It basically puts you in a box, right? You can only respond like this. You can only say this. You can't do that. A dispute, you might have stuff to say, right? You can't do that online, okay? You don't want to do it by mail, fax, or phone. Your letter should be simple. It should state what the account is, the account number, your factual reason, like we discussed. And you don't want to be saying fraudulent things like, oh, this account ain't mine. You could say, I'm not familiar with this account. Like, what's going on with this? This doesn't ring a bell. That's way different than making the statement of something, this is not mine. Now, that's fraudulent, okay, if it's really yours. Okay, so your factual reason and what you want the result to be. You want it to be deleted, corrected, verified, updated, etc., right? So the letter needs to say that. Say, hey, it's Capital One, here's the account. The factual reason is the account number's wrong, and what you want the result to be. I want you to delete this account, or I want you to correct it, okay? The investigation takes approximately 30 to 45 days, which I discussed before. When the Bureau responds, you need to respond immediately. When the investigation results are not what you want, what you expected it to be, right? So if they don't do, if you say, hey, verify this account, and they come back verified, you're like, well, shoot, we need to go a little further. Well, how'd you do that? You know? So it's a process, okay? And so when you start this dispute, you got to be willing and ready to respond, okay? You can also dispute with the credit furnishers directly. So with the actual creditors, the collections, you can send out direct letters to them and ask them to validate the debt. You can also, like we discussed before, you know, also just dispute it in general with them. Disputing is about persistence over anything else and having enough factual issues, okay, to keep the dispute in the account without them saying that the dispute is frivolous. So if I keep saying the account number is wrong, and they keep saying, no, it's not, it's right. The account number is wrong. No, it's not, it's right. They're not going to do that with you. They're just going to say, that's a frivolous, I'm not even going to investigate it. Okay, so you have to be careful with that. That's why you have to look and find some other stuff. And that's what we do. You know, we investigate, we analyze your credit report. And we do that for free, by the way. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. So this is the number 2 portion of Pathway to Great Credit, right? Changing the way you think. Very important, I can tell you that right now. If you don't believe you can have something, you really just won't ever have it. I promise you. If you believe you can have it, oh my gosh, the world just opens up for you. But you got to really, truly believe it. So I want you to believe right now. Just start believing right now, wherever you're at financially, wherever you're at with your credit, that it can look exactly what you. In fact, use 760. Use 760 as the marker. You need a 760 score and above. That's why I named it 760 credit, by the way. The 760 is tier 1. It's the beginning of tier 1 credits. The beginning of the best interest rates. You're not going to get any better than those interest rates that you get at 760, right? You can get up to 850, right? And I could say, I used to tell people, oh, you don't need an 850. Actually, you know, you just need a 760. You just need to be in the 700s. No. You need cushion. Something happened, life happened, something happened. Oops. You want some cushion so that, okay, you had a hit, but it didn't hit you. Your credit scores as much, right? So that's important. Bad credit is a symptom. Let's talk about that a little bit. Kind of like someone that's overweight, okay? That's a symptom. It's a symptom of other things, right? It could be of medical conditions. It could be of behavior. It could be of a multitude of things, right? It's not just as simple as, oh, you're gluttonous, that's why you're big. No, it's a symptom of, it could be a symptom of a lot of different things, okay? So bad credit is the same way, you know? Maybe a person might not make the best decisions because they're emotionally charged, right? They break up and then they're out shopping. They want some retail therapy. There's a whole slew of things you can think of. And, you know, when we do our workshops, we usually go through and ask people, like, what do you think symptoms are of bad credit? It's really a lot of different things. And I want you to just think about that. Think about what your symptoms are, how you got where you're at. Because I think that portion of it, like, don't try to forget how you got there, right? I never forget that I wore the same shoes for a year trying to pick myself up, you know, off of someone's floor I was sleeping on. Okay, so I'll tell you, you don't want to forget where you came from, right? Because you're doomed to repeat it. So same thing with your credit right now. Take a moment before you start your credit repair process with you. Either you do it or we do it for you, or some other company for that matter. You know, think about, okay, what got me there? What happened? What were the series? You know, sometimes it's just, for some people, it's like, I got laid off. That's what happened. Totally understand. But before that, credit was on point. Okay, well, you got to think about it too much, right? But for those of you who really don't feel like you have an excuse, you have an excuse. There's something that happened. There's something, a part of you, something that you need to look at and change systemically, right, inside of you. So you must unlearn what you have been programmed to believe since birth. That software I'm saying this all wrong. Okay, you must unlearn what you have been programmed to believe since birth. Okay, that software no longer serves you if you want to live in a world where all things are possible. So you've got to let go of old beliefs. You got to let go of believing Your limiting beliefs is what I'm talking about. Things that you've been telling yourself your whole life that's not serving you well. You need to start talking to yourself in a different way. You need to start loving on yourself. Loving on yourself. Don't beat yourself up for stuff. Like, just say, I'm gonna fix it. No problem. I'm gonna fix it. And you can start that at you've won already when you wake up. That means you have another day to fix it. You have another day to have a life that you want to live. The power of belief is amazing. Choose your lens. Choose your lens. You want to have the bifocals. You want clear lens. You want, but what I mean by that is your lens in life. Like, you choose your perception on the way you see things in life, like situations in your life, right? You look at this experience with your, say, bad credit or whatever, and look at it like, oh wow, this is a learning opportunity for me. I got bad credit. Well, how has it affected me? A whole bunch of ways, and I can use this as a stepping stone, right, to build on that. Or you can look at it as like, damn, I got bad credit. This really sucks. My life is, I can't do nothing. That's not productive. What's productive is what you did today in watching this video. That's productive. And now it's what you do with this knowledge and what you do. And don't take my word for any of this stuff. Go out and research it. Get the information for yourself. It's free. It's your information, man. I got it for free. I mean, well, some of it I paid for, but I'll tell you, I spent a lot of money actually educating myself. But that's because I just got all crazy with it. But I will say, take the time out. I mean, this is real, true stuff. When I tell you that is your financial resume, that's your life resume. It's all part of it. You put your little pretty resume in, and they want to pull your credit. Woo-wee! Why it don't look the same? Got to get it to look the same, right? But you got to first change the way you think about things. You got to change the way you think. So that's what my message is with that. The size of your dreams must always exceed your current capacity to achieve them. If your dreams do not scare you, they are not big enough. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Yes. So this is huge. Dream big. I dream big. I want to have freedom in my life, to be able to give more. Right. That's what wealth gives you. If that's what you want, right? If you want to attain wealth, if you want to build, use your credit as leverage. Use somebody else's money and just build on that. Figure out ways. We have got some ideas. Come see us, come call us. Like, let's get it going. Let's get life going. Don't be afraid to dream. The world is not running out of money. It's not running out of resources anytime soon. Some resources maybe, but have the life that you want. But it's going to take you to change the lens. Take you to think about the way that you perceive things every day. If you wake up thinking, I'm so grateful I woke up, I got something to do today, I got things, I got possibilities, I have hope. There is, no matter what circumstances, I'm sure you can spend a lot of time on YouTube or Facebook looking at people beating up each other and looking at cops kill people and all that kind of stuff. You could. Or you can decide, I'm going to look at some beautiful things. I want to look at some veterans who lost their legs, like compete in the Special Olympics. You know what I'm saying? Like you could really spend your time like really building yourself up and not tearing it down. This is your temple, your fort. Like, keep it strong. So change the way you think. Let's go. Let's get you some better credit. Call us for information. Call us for, do your credit yourself if you want to. It's amazing. You totally can. And call us for resources. Say, hey, what if I did this? Tell you. We don't mind telling you. People have asked me in the past, like, why do you want to teach people credit repair? Why would you want to, if that's what you're doing for a living? Well, I believe that the world is abundant. I just said we're not running out of anything. There's going to be a lot of people who don't have time to do their credit, and they're going to say, "Hey, I can do this myself." I know that, but I really want to hire you to do it because maybe because you've been doing it, you also kind of know tricks of the trade. You kind of know what you're doing, So there is some expertise to this. There's a lot of people people don't really realize that, but get to know the FCRA, get to know the FDCPA, ask us for questions. Here's our contact information, and we'd love to help you. And gosh, until next time, and cheers to your new journey.